Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars, and welcome to my review for the brand new rebooted Hellboy film. A film that seems to be getting quite a lot of hate at the minute, but I wanted to check it out for myself, and this film is directed by the very talented Neil Marshall, who obviously has done Dog Soldiers and The Descent before and has always had bags of potential, as he's proven in the past. And it stars David Harbour as Hellboy and David Harbour from Stranger Things. We have Mila Jovovich as Nemu, the bad guy basically, and we have Ian McShane as Professor Broom, and we get Sasha Lane as Alice Monaghan. And like I say, this is the reboot that nobody really asked for. However, I wasn't too upset that they were rebooting Hellboy. I'm a big fan of the first two Hellboy films, the Ron Perlman ones. They are really good films, and I know they've wanted to make a third one for years, and they passed that up and decided to reboot it instead. Fair enough, okay? If you're going to do it and you're going to do it well, I don't think many of us would have had many complaints. However, this film, like I say, is not getting particularly well received by many. And what is this film about? Well, again, it's parts of it are almost a rehash from the first Hellboy film, because it's doing like an origin story again. So you see bits in this film that's familiar from the first Hellboy film that you saw with Ron Perlman. But Hellboy is called upon to save the world from Mila Jovovich character, who is this evil witch who's coming back to spread plague amongst the world, and she wants to team up with Hellboy because he is this all-powerful demon who, his fate is to take over the world, not protect it, all that kind of stuff. And Hellboy teams up with some friends to take out this evil. I'm trying to think of it. It felt, watching this film, it felt a far more complex plot than I've just explained, but actually it isn't. It's a very simple plot that they've overcomplicated, is the best way to describe it. And that's my biggest problem with this film. They've overcomplicated the script, and it just feels overly complex, and it didn't need to be. Every character that's introduced into this film, pretty much, you get introduced to them, and then you get loads of exposition through flashbacks, or verbal exposition from something. It almost feels like somebody's always explaining something to you in this film, and it just bogged it down. We're not imbeciles. You don't have to explain every little detail. And I think how they chose to tell the story didn't help matters, I think. However, let's get onto some positives, because there are some. I'm not going to lie, I had quite a bit of fun watching this film. It is nowhere near, and I will stress this, it is nowhere near as bad as some of the rage monsters are saying out there. Is this as good as the other Hellboy films? No, I don't think it is. However, the positive here is David Harbour as Hellboy, I thought was very good indeed. I wasn't sold with the trailers, I wasn't sold with the makeup, but I thought he pretty much nailed this character, and I do applaud him. I thought he did a really good job. It's just a shame that the script let him down, really. The action is pretty good when you get it. There's some really good set pieces, fighting dragons and all this kind of stuff. I mean, the action's spot on, and I think for the most part the effects are really bang on as well. I really appreciate the effects. And right at the end there's like these creatures from hell that rise up. I just thought the design of them was just brilliant. I really liked them. There's things like this film, they crammed King Arthur into this film somehow, which was just baffling to me. The Excalibur legend and Arthur and Merlin, and you're just like, oh, I don't think we needed this. it was, like I said, a simple plot that was overly complicated, that made it confusing. And I wasn't overly sold on the relationship between Ian McShane's character, Professor Bloom, and Hellboy. It's supposed to be a father-son relationship, and I didn't really buy it until their very last scenes together, and it worked a little bit better then. There didn't feel to be that chemistry there like there was between Hellboy and the first Professor Bloom from the earlier films. John Hurt, who played Professor Bloom in that film, I thought that was a better relationship. It felt more like a father-son relationship. This one didn't. So there are quite a few negatives here, but there are positives too. And I do think, unfortunately, the internet rage monsters are going to get their way, and this is going to be a huge flop, which is a shame because it does hint at a sequel at the end. And I'm not saying this has wowed me and I'm desperate for a sequel, but I think there was enough here to work on with a sequel if they could have taken some of these criticisms away and worked on them for a sequel, because there is enough good stuff here, I think, to build on. There's a good foundation here to build on, but I don't think that's going to happen because from what I can tell, it's flopping at the minute big time at the box office. So yeah, I didn't really dislike this film. I thought it was entertaining in parts, but there are quite a few problems with it as well, but I thought it was a good starting point for a potential further franchise if they wanted to build on that. So yeah, nowhere near as bad as they're saying, guys. It is certainly worth checking out. If you're really precious about the first two, I wouldn't bother because you're not going to like it at all. So that's my review for the brand new Hellboy. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on Screen Stars.